make histories in fun in our faces. And you have to try to take it, guys. Because we play shit, we play shit. When the other is bad, shake hands. But you are not bad enough. If you became a top team, you have to score the goals, guys. You are sad? There are many sads. But you have to learn to play football with courage. Our best thing in our season is because it doesn't matter where we were, we play with a character, with courage to play. We are tired. You. We are tired. You.
Welcome to Shades of Blue podcast. I am CrunkChocolate. I am here with the amazing Tarek, the brilliant Danielle. Sorry.
No, it's all good. What's up?
The poised Charlie. And the magnificent Thom.
Hey.
Just felt like starting the podcast with some positive affirmations. If you're listening right now, don't forget to rate and review the podcast. If I can be honest, and hoping I can, for this host-listener relationship to grow. If you're out here giving us anything less than 5 stars, I'm going to say you're being a cynic. I want to use the word hater, but I feel like that might be a little too heavy a word for most of y'all. A few of y'all might be haters, but in episode 2, I don't want to dub y'all with haters so soon. That might just be a little too rude. So review the podcast, even if the review is CrunkChocolate called me a hater. You gotta listen to the whole episode anyway. A review is a review. In this episode, we will start the podcast off with a Q&A segment. We will discuss the Crystal Palace match and the fallout from dropping points. Haaland rumors are swelling up, and I'm excited, but does everyone feel the same? Thom was missed in the first episode. We catch up with him and discuss the women's side of City football. The quarterfinals of the Champions League is set. So is the FA Cup coming soon. And we will end the episode with that. Now, let's get to business. I wanted to ask all of us a few general city-themed questions. The listeners are getting to know us. Hell, we're getting to know each other better. So I figured, why not? So, first question is, who is your favorite City player, past and present? And if you can even give a why. Let's start with Danielle.
What's up, guys? Just so everyone knows, name is spelled Daniel, but it's pronounced Danielle, which is how we say it in the Philippines. But it's all good if you take a little bit to pick up on that, because it's not very common pronunciation. I actually thought about this for a little bit, and I think I'm gonna go. Favorite past player is Mario Balotelli. Starting it off with an explosive character, explosive name. I could have said the usual suspects, right? But I figured that I would go with someone that I don't think really gets a lot of love from the fan base. Not enough love from the fan base. But first and foremost, I have to say he assisted the Aguero's winning goal against QPR. So I feel like he's a legend for that. And I think that was it was either his only Premier League assist that season or his only Premier League assist ever. So I just think that's a fun fact. And it's really emblematic of his character. Second of all, I think that he is just a really fascinating character off the pitch, right? If you're a black dude from Italy, you're already you've been through it. So much respect for that. And I just have a lot of respect for him being just being real, right? Being an entertainer. I think we all watch the sport because we love it, but also at the end of the day, we want to be entertained. And I have to say, I think that we are kind of missing that energy in our team right now. I feel like we're almost all the guys are almost too well drilled You know what I mean? And I mentioned on the last podcast that I wanted to do a little I wanted to do a little Twitter thread recapping Rodri's celebration when he scored that winning goal against Arsenal, and he like kind of ripped his shirt off and kind of ran towards the Arsenal fans. I just love that kind of stuff, man. I was really into wrestling as a kid. The whole like idea of like kayfabe, heels, faces, like I'm all about that. So got to put Balotelli up there. As for present, I'm gonna go with Cancelo actually for two reasons. One, because I'm also a right-footed player who often gets put onto the left, mostly because I'm not that good, and most of the guys on my team they're right-footed. So I'm like, all right, I'll play on the left. You stay on your strong side. It's all good. So I have a lot of respect for that. Um, Also, honestly, I think he's like cracked in like multiple ways. Like he just tries like crazy stuff. I think there was that one stat where like he took the most shots of any defender in the Premier League, and he was ahead of second place by like 20 shots or something like that, like shots on goal. So I just really respect that kind of mentality. I'm a huge fan of players that have a lot of belief in themselves, and you could also tell like the way that he celebrates. I think there was a goal a couple of games ago when he wasn't even like involved in the goal, but he ran over to the home crowd and he had like the you know
I know.
the yeah, it was like
Yeah,
wow,
I know.
you know what I mean?
I know
Yeah, the
exactly what you're
badge.
talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's something he has love for the fans, and I'm all about that.
Yeah, I know exactly what goal you're talking about because I saw that energy and I was just like, whoa, where did this come from? Because he normally is a pretty reserved person. And I have noticed his celebrations for goals lately have been very fiery. And even with the Rodri, like taking the shirt off, uh, I really do love the energy that does seem to be coming out of our calmer players. Tom?
So I think I going back to the past for me, it's going to be Vincent Company. There's something to be said about having some guy that's just that you're going to put him in the 11 every time that he's fit. You know what he's going to give you. You know that he's not going to embarrass you or the club. Um, and I think there's a lot to be said about him being the skipper at the time that Pep took over, and I think him buying into Pep allowed the rest of the club to buy into Pep,
Mm.
and I think that's why you're seeing the success that Pep has now. So I just like just like the Leicester City game, no, Vinny, don't shoot, and I mean, that's just such a great moment. It just can't be taken away. Uh, as for current players, I'm actually going to go over to the women's side and say Khadija Bunny Shaw. I have been following Bunny since she was at Tennessee, and she carried that team. And she leads the team. She leads the women's team in goals currently at 13. So she's just a very exciting player, and honestly, she's the best striker at the club, and you can't really deny that right now. And I know CrunkChocolate and I will definitely get into it, but injuries have really hurt the women this season, but they've definitely been resilient to be in the position that they're in, to have already won some hardware. So the standard is the standard for the club, whether you play for the men's side or the women's side or play for the academy. The standard is silverware, and they are fulfilling that standard.
Yeah, I watched the FA Cup match this weekend. Or yeah, that's what it was last week. Or no, what the reading
No,
match?
it was a WSL
Yeah,
match. It was
WSL. Yeah,
against Tottenham. Yeah,
yeah, I'm getting mixed up. I watched that, and that was really fun to watch. And like you said, Bunny, she's like this amount of times she was just open with just like space. She just finds that open space And there were multiple times where she'd be like, "Hey, pass the ball to me right over there," and she just seems so much like bigger than everyone else too. Like
Yeah.
it's really
There's definitely a physicality to her that was not in the squad before her.
yeah, it was
So
great watching it.
it's really interesting to see.
Charlie, you want to give me your favorite City players?
Yeah. I struggle. I picked. This is between two midfielders for the past. I went. It came down to between Yaya Toure and Gavi Silva, and I love both of their games. Both are so technical. They can make every pass. They know how to. They track the ball. Like it's just amazing, amazing talents. But I'm gonna go with Silva just because that little through ball he did, it just made me so happy. Like that feathery touch, always the right amount of weight, just always seem to be in the right spots. So Silva, like he has my heart. Present, I gotta go with Raheem Ras. That's my guy. That was the first shirt I ever got. Seeing him just attack from the left wing, and back in the days when him and Sane would like flip sides and they were just a terror. Like, oh my gosh, it was just like he really captures me. Like he has that spark and that pace that a lot of people in our club don't have. Like everybody has the technical ability, but he can really stretch it. And like especially when we play at Liverpool, he can go at TAA. Like I love that. So Sterling's my guy.
All right, Tarek, what are you thinking?
So Tom kind of stole my thunder a little bit. For a player from the past, for me, it's Vincent Company. Um, on the last episode, you asked me why did I become a City fan, and I just kind of gave you the short answer and said, well, it's because of my daughter. That's what made me start watching soccer, period, or football, period. But what drew me to City was seeing this big black dude in the middle of the field running the show, telling everybody where to be. He's the captain, Vincent Company. The passion that he played with, the aggressiveness, the aggression that he played with. Um, I loved it.
Oh yeah,
From
I guess
Chocolate,
I could.
who is your favorite?
Past it kind of is a tie between Kolarov and Company, and it's just because the passion and the purpose that they both played football, uh, doing whatever they needed to win. Just some of the like crunchy tackles that Kolarov had been in, and just like I remember one of the first matches like when I was like, hey, City is my life, and I would sit and watch games, and I don't remember who it was, but it was when he like busted his head and he just like wrapped his head with gauze and then was back on the pitch like 2 minutes later. It his energy, the like old school feel, he is one of the past players that I feel could play in this team now because and technically he's better defensively. He would actually fit on this team great. He's kind of what we're missing in that position right now, actually. But he's just like a tough defensive dude who could help out offensively and could whip those balls in. And if you give him enough space, he's going to shoot. And I just loved the just you never really knew what was going to happen because like Company would shoot, Colorado would shoot, and our defense was the best part of City for the longest, especially when uh, or when City really started to grow. Like it was like, hey, let's good defense, and then we have our couple of star players who can like make a highlight, take over the situation. Current if we're being honest, I don't really have like a current because it was Sane, and then he broke my heart. And then if we're being honest, ever since him, I've kind of not been able to like cling to someone. The last
You're
City
dating
player,
favorite players right now.
yeah, Laporte, because I mean he's the last shirt I bought was, and I really thought he was going to be our next like dude who was going to be the main center back for the longest, and he's kind of been up and down. But I really like the way that he plays. If he could just him and Stones, if they could both not be like numbskulls and just kind of like forget that they're playing football for a moment. I think that's kind of the biggest problem with our defense these last few games. It's not necessarily that we're missing Diaz. It's just he stays focused all 90 minutes. And I feel like there's a good 5 to 10 to 12 minutes each match that both Stones and Laporte will turn their brains off. And sometimes it's at the same time, sometimes it's separately, but either way, it gets us in difficult predicaments. Welcome back.
Man, this Wi-Fi is kicking my butt today. I don't know what's going on.
Well, you left us on the edges of our seat. So, who is your current favorite City player?
So yeah, I said my previous or past was Company. I'm gonna go with, and I don't know if you already said it or not, but I'm gonna go with Phil Foden for my present. I'd say he's the present, but he's also the future.
Yeah.
He is what we are going to be building on between him and all the other academy players. He's the one that shows them the way, right? That says, hey, as an academy player, I don't have to leave a la Jadon Sancho, a la Brahim Diaz. I can stay, and if I stay, I'm gonna get the playing time. If I earn it, I'll get put on the field. And so the McAtees, the Cole Palmers, the Liam Deleps, all those guys, they're looking at Foden and saying he's the one that's charting the course for us, and let's go. So I'm excited for him. Um, but reality is we could pick the whole team. That's why we love them. But for me, I'm gonna go with Foden.
That's a good answer. Have we figured out what brand of do-rag that Phil Foden wears?
Hey,
We're gonna admit that he's wearing do-rags, right? Tonight?
I think so.
I
They
mean,
have to
how
have
else
no
do you get
doubt.
those waves? Now that you
His
properly-
ways be better than mine. I'll be like, man, I'm jealous.
What's happening right now?
I'm jealous.
Now that you probably detailed it, let's talk about
Y'all
Foden's
saw that,
waves
and now
now.
I got the tattoo now. Foden's tats, his waves, his swag, his drip is immaculate. Him and Jack
See,
Grealish,
and honestly, what I think people hate about Jack isn't necessarily his play. It's that he is a star. Like he's just a gorgeous individual with great hair and giant calves. And there's plenty to be jealous about. I understand. But uh he comes in, he brings this individualism to a team that in our brains we're taught to think team first. But we need some of those individuals who will just take it on themselves to be like, all right, you guys are not doing shit. Let me try to figure something out. And the Mario Balotelli effect. It would be better if you don't drive cars into homes like Mario tends to do. So it's probably best that we have Grealish.
I'm watching games sometimes, and I'm just like, there are times I want a little bit more individuality from Grealish, because I understand he's trying to fit into the Pep way of play, but there's something about his individuality that got him on our radar to begin with. So when things start to break down, when things aren't going our way, we need to break down that low block or whatever. I'm sitting yelling at my screen saying, man, just go be Jack Grealish. Go be that dude because you got it in you. Just go be that dude. So I'm hoping that we don't take all the star factor out of him by forcing him to fit into our typical style of play. Of course, you gotta fit in if you want to play for Pep, but don't lose all of it. Turn it on. And same thing with Sterling. Sterling was that dude at Liverpool. He was gonna go at you 100 miles an hour. That's not the way that we play. But there are moments when we need you to go beat a Sterling. Oh, go get us a goal, or go, whatever. So I still want those guys to keep some of that.
That was very well stated.
All right. So next question is top 4 football club hate list. So basically, which 4 teams in order do you hate most? I'm going to start with this because whenever we're talking about hate, I'm always want to be the first person to talk about this. Let's hate. Anyway, number 1 is Liverpool because duh. 2 is Chelsea. I just don't like them. I've met, and it's not even the team. It's kind of like the players. It's how Chelsea overall kind of represent themselves, and 90% of the people that I know who cheer for Chelsea tend to just be like pompous pricks. I mean, just to like, who cares? We're adults. Like, let's just say it. Like, they think their hair is looks better than it actually is. Like, their clothes, they can't really dress, but they think they're killing it. Like, I don't know. They just do too much. And like I'd say, that's 90% of Chelsea fans. Whereas like Liverpool, it's like 98% of those motherfuckers suck. Again, for listeners, this is episode number 2. I will be the one who will say the crazy stuff, and these other 4 nice gentlemen are the nice, calm, mindful gentlemen. But I will be here to just talk shit about everyone else. So welcome. And then after Chelsea, then it's United at number 3, and then 4 is Barca, just because they always start talking about City somehow, some way, and trying to steal our players. And I'm just over it, and I'm over them.
I'll go ahead. United's number 1 on the list. Just that they are not good people. No more to be said. Chelsea is also my number 2. I actually went to a Chelsea bar to watch the Chelsea Man City match a while back, and I was the only Man City fan in the bar. Charlie knows that story too.
Yeah, I did that. I
Yeah,
did that in New York. Yeah, it was me in New York.
I do have to say, when the bar did because it's a little bit later out here in Colorado, so when the bar did start serving alcohol, that was right when Kevin De Bruyne scored, and I decided I was going to order myself a drink, and the bartender said, "Yeah, the Chelsea fan over there, he's got you. He said you're the only one that had the balls enough to come in here with your Manchester City stuff." So,
Well, I guess you've met better Chelsea fans than I have.
Yeah. Number 3 is definitely going to be Liverpool. I hope you always walk alone.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's all I got to say about that. And number 4,
Love it.
Number 4 is more personal than actually hate as regards to City, but I'm probably going to piss some of our listeners off, but that's okay. Number 4 is Seattle Sounders. No, you did not invent MLS playoffs.
All right, let me hop in here. My number 1, because of the 2019 Champions League semifinals, would be Tottenham Hotspur. I detest them. I hate those fuckers. They make me sick, and they continue to have our number in the Premier League. It makes no sense, but fuck Spurs. Number 2 is Chelsea, because of obviously the Champions League, and the fact that somehow Thomas Tuchel figured Pep out for like 3 months. Made no sense to me either. Don't like them. Fuck that shade of blue. Number 3, Liverpool, and it's like, I don't hate them as much, but it's more so like you guys are annoying because you're so good, and like, you're very scary with your superstars, and yeah, forget them. And last but not least, United. They're like the annoying little brother now, where it's like, oh, go away, like you don't matter, and all of the media attention, especially here in the States, that NBC Sports gave them at the beginning of the year. Ronaldo, like every post was about Ronaldo, and I was like, this club sucks. Why do you keep giving them so much love? But I can't find a De Bruyne post at all. So those are my 4.
Solid 4. I had completely forgotten about Spurs, but yes.
I'll follow that up.
I can never forget about that.
First, I gotta agree with Tom Baum here and say number 1 has to be United. I feel like with how shit they've been in the past 10 years, we've forgotten just how obnoxious their fan base can be. And when they're good again, and they will be, eventually they'll be good again, right?
No, they won't.
I hope so.
That's the thing. As long as the Glazers are in charge, they will never be good again.
All right, maybe in like 20 years when they're good again. I feel like it'll be terrible. 2, it's got to be Liverpool. I don't need to tell anybody here why, or anybody listening to this podcast, honestly, why. Three is Chelsea for similar reasons. Like I had an old college roommate who was like a Chelsea fan, and he was just like a really annoying like know-it-all. So that just gave me a really bad impression. But then also because I think all fan bases kind of have like a bad there's like bad annoying fans for like every team, but Chelsea is unique in that they historically have actually had like a fan base that sort of centered around being like anti-Semitic and like racist. And what other team can you think of, right, in the past like 10 years or so where there's an actual video of them like pushing a black guy off of a train and then singing "We're racist and we like it"? Like, just yeah. So they make it on that list for that reason. And then last, I gotta go with Real Madrid actually. Because I hate Ronaldo, and for a while he was like kind of the face of them. But then also they historically they represent the Spanish crown, and the Philippines was colonized by Spain for 300 years, so they get my hate just for that.
Yes.
Makes sense.
That's a solid list too.
I will end us up. I will say that the four teams that I hate first for me is Liverpool. I know I'm supposed to say United because they're our big rival, but for me, it's Liverpool just because of these last few seasons. I'm just sick of them. So that's one for me. I guess two would be United, and I could group them both together because it's the whole, oh well, City doesn't have any history. That whole group of clubs, I hate all of them. But I'll say United is second there. Three for me is Bayern Munich. I'm sick of them because again, I think somebody said somebody's got something to say about City. Their executives are constantly gunning for us, constantly coming for us, saying, "Oh, the whole oil club, this, that, and the other, the money, this, that, and the other," to the point that I hate that club. And it's not the players on the field; it's the back room, it's the executives, and I hate them. Really, those are the only three clubs that I would say I hate. But for me, four is gonna be Chelsea. And the reason is my daughter plays club soccer. So I've tried to be the dad that lets her pick her team and not make her be a City fan. And she picked Chelsea. So I took that as an offense. Now, to be fair, she doesn't really follow them as much anymore. But any other club that's getting any kind of recognition in my house, I got to hate them. So I got to put Chelsea on my list. So the more she roots for them, the more I'm going to hate them. So that's just how that goes. But I really think it was just that defiant stage where if dad is rooting for somebody, I want to root against dad. But so Chelsea makes my list for that reason.
It was Sam Kerr, wasn't it?
No, she goes back to, and again, I just think it was just her just trying to root against me. But I think because she goes back to, like, I got her Oscar jersey many years ago when she was rooting for them. I took her to see Chelsea versus Real Madrid up in Michigan when they were here. But again, you're supposed to root for the club that your dad roots for. I shouldn't have to, explain that too many times. But whatever, we'll let it slide. Let her make up her own mind. But regardless, she's wrong because there's only one club, and that's not Chelsea. That is City. So there you go.
Love it. The only reason why United isn't number one on mine is because they're just not a problem at the moment. I feel like if they would start troubling us in matches, maybe I'd be like, "Oh, United!" But at the moment, they're so far behind us, like barely even see them on the rear view. So it's like out of sight, out of mind, basically. Am I right?
That's kind of how I feel, but yet their fans still talk like they're top of the league. I just don't understand.
I think what you're describing about United is probably how I feel about Arsenal fans. Maybe not like the team, maybe not the coach, but maybe definitely their fans. Like, are y'all relevant? Like, do we need to listen? Like, I mean, TT retired a long time ago, and he was on television talking about how he juked Jamie Carragher and like showed it in real time. But you know, that was a long time ago, like almost 20 years ago. So, are we? What else do you have to offer me now?
When's the last time they won a PL? Like I can't even remember. Like it's been so long that Arsenal's been relevant. Like don't know.
So when I was coming into being a fan of the sport, and trying to find a team to root for, um, a buddy of mine that goes back to my childhood, he's an Arsenal fan, and so I asked him, what is it that made you be an Arsenal fan? And of course, it was Thierry Henry, it was Arsene Wenger, the playing style, so on and so forth. But thankfully, he told me, wait, don't pick a team too soon. Watch a lot of soccer, watch a lot of games, and you'll know when you know. Because if he would have told me at the time, oh, you should root for Arsenal, I wouldn't have known any better, and I might have done it. And I'm so thankful he didn't do that, because I would be so ticked off right now having to watch that. Now, again, they've done better recently, but yeah, I can't bring myself to root for them either.
Mentioned oil team, the term oil team. So that leads perfectly to the third question. What do you say to people who try to talk down on City and use the term oil team? And I will start because it's just real quick. It's a wise old Mancunian saying that I try to only bring out during special occasions, and it is two words: do one. And I just literally leave it at that. I'm over people. Like
There
it's
you go.
just too much. But Thom, what do you say to people who call City an oil team?
Oil for oil. What is that? I mean, have you
He
seen the
said, "I don't
price of
pledge
gas?
oil."
Have you seen the price of gas? Do you know how many players that we about to buy? Do you know? I mean, so say what you want about that. That's my response.
Haaland is coming. That's why the oil prices got to go up. We need that money. Look, we trying to get Haaland.
Well,
And if y'all don't
now
quit playing, we're gonna go get somebody else too.
Exactly, with the price of gas now, we could add another piece.
There you
Get that left
go.
back we need, okay?
That's funny.
I have two words as well. I literally wrote out, "You're right. We are an oil team," and I love it. It is great. Oil has brought me so much happiness, a joy unlike anything else in soccer or football. Like nobody else can relate. You know, that's why Newcastle they got some oil money too. Oil
Which,
money's great.
which good on the
You know,
Newcastle
good oil money. Well, not Roman oil money. The
Good
other
on the
one.
Newcastle fans for going to Stamford Bridge and chanting "We're richer than you," because
Yes.
I can't say that I really come across like any like people in real life that would say something like that. Yeah, maybe I will if I end up going to like games or go to like England or something. But on Twitter though, I guess it depends on the team. But really, you could say anything about like any team ownership, right? Aside from like Bayern, which is like it's owned by like fans or whatever. But even they have like a sponsorship with Qatar, so
But
yeah.
even with, sorry, I just jump in. I mean, but even with Bayern, I mean, if you look at their board, it's not regular
Yeah.
people. It's a bunch of people that work for Audi, who are one of their biggest sponsors. Who work for all these big companies. So let's not act like their money. They're getting money from these just as maybe as 50%, or what is it, 51% fan ownership or whatever. But let's be honest, they're getting their money from these companies just as well.
For sure. And at the end of the day, I follow the team. I watch the games because I enjoy like the actual sport, right? I'm not in it to wave the flag of whatever ownership there is. So I think, at the end of the day, it's just football is what I would say. So try not to take it too seriously.
True. Yeah, I'm with all you guys. I whatever. Okay. Um, every club is getting money from somewhere. And even if your owners are American, there's again, anybody that's a billionaire. I mean, I'm not gonna say that they're dirty. I'm just saying they made their money some kind of way, and I
Oh no,
mean,
they
I'm
dirty.
I'm
Billionaires are all
again, I
dirty.
hope to
They
be a
gotta be.
billionaire one day. But until then, I mean, I'm not trying to kill them all, but at the end of the day, they didn't. They're not going to work every day like me and you and whatever. They did something to make their money, and there's probably some degree of corners that were cut, uh, people's backs who their money was made off of. So again, it may not come from quote unquote oil money, but it came from somewhere, whether it be clubs who were tied to betting or whatever else, right? So miss me with that. I do think there's a bigger conversation that one I'm not prepared to have today necessarily, but there's a bigger conversation about ownership, and it's coming out with uh, Abramovich with Chelsea, conversations about the Newcastle owners. So that's a bigger conversation that I think deserves to be had. But at the end of the day, like you just said, I'm watching the games for the sport, for what happens between the white lines, and you can kind of miss me with all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe it is just living in America. All of our sports owners suck. Like, and it's
Exactly,
and it's not even
exactly.
like, hey, there's one. No, they like all suck, and it's so. I feel like a lot of the problems that English Premier League fans have that with random, and it's not even just City, it's just stuff that you're hearing a lot, even with kids having the signs begging for shirts and then they're like selling it and stuff. It, they're upset about the capitalism coming into the football mat in the football
It's too
games and
late.
stuff like that. Yeah, it's long, it's like long gone, and it's like figure out what you want to be mad about, and you either gotta like accept it and move on, or you're just gonna be that old man screaming from your porch about stuff like this, because it's just like pay attention to the games. Like if you don't like it, just don't give it any energy, and hopefully it'll disappear. What position other than striker should City focus on, and why? And we will start with Danielle.
So I'm gonna go with I think we need a DM. Um, Not because I don't think Rodri is great, but well, first of all, Fernandinho he's getting up there. I think he's shown that he can't. He just doesn't have the legs anymore to play 90 minutes in an important match, especially the way that we play, where we need that presence in the middle that can snuff out counterattacks before um, they've even fully developed. So yeah, I think we need to DM, and I think with Rodri, obviously he can't play every single game, but I also think that he he needs competition. Like he needs a fire lit under his ass, basically. And I think he's an amazing player. I think that in looking at the season as a whole, he's been the best DM in the league, if not in the world. But he's been a little shaky recently. I think I mentioned in the group text that during the Palace match, which we'll get into in a bit, I thought he was pretty shaky in terms of he wasn't thinking fast enough when it came to cutting out passes and defending counterattacks. Like Palace was getting like, especially in the first half, they were coming at us like multiple chances, right? Within the first like 30 minutes. But he also had a lot of like weirdly like misplaced passes, which was a symptom from like a couple of players, namely Bernardo. So I think he needs some sort of competition. And I think back to when he was dropped towards the end of last season and he didn't play at all in the Champions League final. And then he came this season and he was like a world beater. Like he looked like an entirely different player. So yeah, I think he needs both rotation and competition. I definitely still see him as, as a starter, as like if we needed, um, we played a final tomorrow and we had to start a DM. I think I would still pick him, but I would like a backup with him or rotation at least.
That's a really great pick, Danielle. And someone that came to mind for that would be like Yves Bissouma from Brighton. Like I love his game as a DM. Maybe we can get him one day, but somebody else should definitely go get him. My position will probably gonna be left back, and I think we need that. Like Zinchenko is very good. He's solid. He's capable. But when I look around the world, I look at left backs. I look at like Ferdinand, like Mendy for Real Madrid, or like that really pacey left back, like the guy from that's on him and his brother. He's on AC Milan. His brother's on Bayern. Like those guys, like that real like pace that you can go and like whip something in with the left foot, like you were talking about Kolarov earlier. Like I missed that type of entry. So hopefully we can get another left back to just help Cancelo sometimes get back on his natural side. As Kyle Walker starts to age, eventually,
Kyle's
start taking
31.
down.
He's already aged.
Still running though. The man can still go.
But you're talking about
One
like
day
Lucas
those wheels will
Hernandez,
slow down.
Lucas and Theo Hernandez, right?
Yeah, and Teo. Yeah.
I didn't know they were brothers.
Thank you so much. I literally could not remember the name.
Whoa.
To me, so I was gonna say left back. The I don't want to say the ideal because maybe that's too strong, but you talked about that pace. What is it? Davies for
Alfonso.
Sign me up
yeah,
immediately.
Alfonso
Bayern.
Davies
Yeah.
from Canada, the
That'd be a
Canadian.
dream. Oh, that'd be a dream.
Man, that dude, if we could go get him, it does two things. It weakens Bayern and that puts that left side. Ain't nobody running with that dude. Because again, we get beat a lot of times when we do get beat or, for the goal, a lot of times it's because of pace, right? We just don't have the pace to get back. We got beat on a counter. Ain't nobody, he is just like Kyle on the right side for us, breaking up everything because you can't run past that dude. So if I could go get a left back, ideally, and I don't know that he fits our style necessarily, but he would be up there. But Danielle made a very, very compelling case for a DM. And I agree that, we can't keep leaning on Fernandinho as that backup. We need to get somebody. And I know we got a couple young guys in the academy that are supposed to be coming through, but I think you need somebody that if for whatever reason Rodri goes down, that you can play and we don't really miss too big of a beat. And I don't think they're ready for that yet. So I was coming in to say left back, but I think I might have to side with Danielle on that one.
Yeah, Danielle made some really good points because I was with Charlie and Tarek. I think that fullbacks in general would be something to pursue. Like we said, Kyle's getting up there. Watching the Spurs game, it was a nightmare watching. Kyle was the only person that could keep up with Son, and like if they decided to put him on the other side, it was a wrap. So I think that just having a play, any kind of like Davies, I think would be definitely ideal. Just having that pace to be able to break something up, but also, I mean, when you think about our fullbacks, with Cancelo being as versatile as he is, with Zinchenko being a midfielder actually by trade, that like if you bring in a true fullback, there's going to be an experience of or a drop in quality that you're going to bring into that necessarily position, because we all know that if Pep could put 11 midfielders on the field, he would.
Well, and that's the other thing too is because of the way that we play, our outside backs almost have to be midfielders at times, step
Right.
into the midfield and or play alongside the center backs as a back three, if you're Kyle. So we have to have somebody that has those ball skills.
Yeah.
Well, see, I think like that opens up the whole tactical thing of like, should Pep in certain matches make that switch to say, hey, Jao, you don't need to go attack today. Like, we need you to make a full back four because the moment you leave, you're not fast enough to get back. Like I wonder, like, is there some flexibility that could happen to help out with the counters that we know we're always
The
vulnerable to?
problem is we have the ball all the time. And
Mhm.
so we're always in
Yeah.
attack mode. And then our if they get pushed forward, that transition happens so quick when it goes from offense to defense that
Two passes.
now it's like, oh, wait a minute, we've just spent the last if it's United, we've just spent the last 15 minutes having 90% of the ball, um, and now all of a sudden, wait a minute, they got the ball and they going the other way, and Cancelo can't get back, and not no fault of his own. He's up in the attack, so we gotta figure out how we can do both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say one more thing on the fullback. If I had a choice of like a fullback that we could have on the team next year, it would be Reece James from Chelsea. And I think that in some ways we were like kind of loosely linked, and I still think that it's a pipe dream. But with like Chelsea's financial turmoil right now, I'm praying that they are bought by like a Glazer type or a Crunky type, that just kind of wants to like milk the club, right? Because I feel like snatching up Reece James it'd be perfect because he fits that archetype. Like he could replace Kyle in a couple of years, but he has the pace, but he also has like the football intelligence. I think he'd be an amazing fit on the team.
Well, I think that it's also important to I Pep has a very decided idea of what he wants his fullbacks to be, and I think that that's why you don't see Angelino with the club anymore because he was just
Mm.
too small. I think that he was able to do everything that we have said that we need in a fullback: push up in the attack, have the pace to get back on the counter. But I don't think that Pep trusted his size, which is why he's probably not with the club anymore.
I liked Angelino. I wish
Mhm.
he would have panned out for us. Um, I would love to have him here now and be that backup that comes in when we want to rest Kyle, move Cancelo over to the right, and bring in Angelino, or just play him along on the left just to give Cancelo a break. I
Right.
would love that. I think he would be great for that.
I think I think
You know,
Angelino he he took things on himself a little too often. He kind of had the whole like hero complex going on, and that's because of the fact that he was constantly sent away. In my opinion, I just felt like whenever he would start, he would just do too much, and then he would just get caught out. And him like Zinchenko, they're not the most athletic people, so if they get too far up, we just end up in trouble when we end up on the counter.
Yeah, he's definitely a attacking fullback for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Were you going to say anything, Charlie?
I was thinking, I'm like, it's so hard to say like this left back conversation because Zinchenko has literally, to me, like he's not bad. Like he rates like a nice 7, 8 most games. Like he's a solid 7. But it's like if you're thinking about what can be improved and like what can really add to the team, like that's clearly the glaring hole. And I hate to say it because he's literally done nothing wrong. To like that's
I
egregious.
mean, and
Um, so it's just like yeah,
and
but
to your point, Charlie, like he is playing out of position. Like when he plays for Ukraine,
yeah.
he is their 10. So I think that this
Hmm.
like we are asking him to do something that he's probably not been raised to do. He has been raised to be in the middle of the park and take control. And so I think that asking a midfielder to be a defender is all you if anyone watches U.S. Women's national team matches, everyone knows the anger
Crystal
that
Dunn.
goes into Crystal Dunn playing at fullback when she's so much better than that. But you also see her like, yes, she can be world class at the position, but like there's also world class forwards that can burn her, and that's not necessarily
Mm-hmm.
any fault of her own, but she's just not a defender, just like Zinchenko is not a defender. I mean, I think he puts in yeoman's efforts to be a defender, but he's a midfielder.
Yeah.
But
And the one we were supposed to have as left back, he happened to be, and he got hurt. I'm talking about Mendy. You know, Benjamin Mendy got hurt and then turned out to be a rapist. So it's just like that money was definitely a waste. That might be like the biggest like
Yeah.
flub we've ever had, like in the
Yeah,
under
yeah,
Pep.
definitely.
Claudio Bravo has entered the chat.
Hey,
Uh,
Bravo showed up at during the
Touche,
Carabao Cup matches though.
touche,
Yeah, so
bravo.
he had
He was.
As long as he
has a
didn't
moment.
have to stop the ball consistently, just have him once or twice, he's good.
Yeah.
yeah,
A lot
you're a
of pepper.
keeper.
No,
We don't need you to stop the ball, of course. Just, I mean, of course, yeah. What was the forward? I can see him. Spanish forward that
Nolito.
came. Nolito. Yes,
Nolito, yeah.
he was supposed to
Oh,
be
wow.
all world when he
Nolito.
came over. Man, that was disappointing.
Hey, and he's still playing. Isn't he with Atletico? I don't want to get too ahead of us.
No, I think he went back to
Let me see.
where did he come from? Where is David Silva at right now?
Nolito is at Celta.
Oh, Celta Vigo. Yeah,
He's at
that's where he
Celta,
came from. He went
okay.
back. Yep.
So
Tom, you
good time.
sorry. No,
go
I was just
ahead.
going to say, Tom, you brought up Crystal Dunn. And I know that's not the point of this podcast, but are they doing the same thing to Midge Purse?
No, we have freed Midge Purse.
Recently, but they were putting her in that same.
They had tried to put her back there, and it was not working at all. It was real bad.
She's a beast.
There's an all black front three coming. Midge, Trinity, like it's coming very soon. I can't wait.
It should be happening. Like it'll be Trinity, it'll be Lynn Williams, and it'll be Kristen Press. That's happening.
Yeah. Good point.
Well, I do believe it's left back also. Zhao, as we mentioned, he's not playing on his preferred side. Zinchenko, he's great, but he's not the quality that we need, at least for a starter. And I would like a real starting left back whose position is left back, who they've always played left back. I love that Pep can teach people to do things and like hold into his position, but I would love to not have to stress about a position, and we can decide who would start over Zhao and Walker later. But I think Zinchenko, if he wants to, I personally don't know how he feels being a backup and starting the occasional 3 to 6 matches a year type of thing and then coming in as a sub. Maybe that's exactly what he wants. Maybe he's living the high life. He's being paid pretty decently and he's playing on a winning team, but that's not what everyone wants. So I could easily see him going to a team like Newcastle next year and starting and being the man and being paid well and being an important player to that team. But if he wants to stay, like, let's keep him all day. But we still need a legit left back who wants to play left back, who is defensive first, but can get the balls in. Because it stresses me out. Like, especially when I see Zhao, Foden, and Grealish. Like, if they're all on that left side / midfield, it stresses me out. I know our defense is going to be shit, and through our defense, that transitions into our offense, and it's just like that's actually. I mean, we're about to actually let's just transition right into the Crystal Palace match. That was like the biggest thing that popped out to me when I saw the starting 11 was the previous episode, Danielle and I talked about it. Like he wanted Grealish, and I was just like, I want nothing to do with it. And specifically just because Zhao, Grealish, and Foden, they all need the ball, and they need the ball for more than like 3 touches because that's kind of their thing. They like fill out and then attack, and that's just way too much like offensive mindset in the Crystal Palace match. We would be great, and then someone would make it like a silly pass or dribble it out of bounds, and then all of a sudden Olisi, or however you say his name, was killing us, and he was killing us. And uh, it, if Pep just wants to bring him in next year just to avoid Crystal Palace stressing us out for the next couple of years, I'd appreciate that. But what were your thoughts on this Crystal Palace match? We went to Southhurst Park, and City's performance started off great. They looked really good. But it quickly dropped off of the cliff. 19 shots, but only 4 of them were on goal. We had 74% possession, 765 passes to Palace's 269. You would think, like when you look at these numbers,
We should have dominated the game.
you would think. So just like a simple question to all of you guys: was this a point earned, or did we lose 2 points?
Points were lost. Points
Yeah,
were definitely lost. The midfield might have played the poorest match of the season. Like, yes, there was, a domination of possession, but there wasn't that like incisive through ball. There wasn't that winger that was going to take you on. And then just to your point about like getting back in transition because our midfield was so high. Once they got the ball, once they turned us over, it was over. This was one of the. I get that the lineup that Pep used was probably his preferred 11, like save some discussion between the 3 center backs. But I think that the match was calling for a sub that was never made. And I don't know what the sub necessarily was. Even if you brought Zinchenko in for Walker and just pressed both Cancelo and Zinchenko up high, do something different. And I don't know. It was very disheartening to see that Pep was not ready to make a change. And I think that the match called for it.
So why do you think he didn't make that change? I mean, because I think we all agreed that, hey, what we're doing doesn't seem to be working. Is it a matter of, hey, you guys that are out there, you have all the talent, you have all the ability, and for the most part, we're creating, but somebody's got to just take the game and put the ball in the back of the net. Do you think he was just saying to them, you guys on the field have everything you need, go fix it?
I do, and I think that part of it is probably match congestion, especially with the FA Cup match coming up this weekend. Southampton's another real tricky team for us to play, and it sounds like we were resting people. Now, if we come out here and we play all of the kids against Southampton, because Kevin De Bruyne doesn't have 45 minutes in his legs because he ran all 90 whatever, I will be very upset. But I would guess if I had to guess why Pep didn't make the sub, it was more because you're saving legs for FA Cup, for Champions League sort of thing. But I get trying to save legs, but also this match was important because, yes, we did end up dropping points, and trying to rely on Arsenal to ever help you is just not smart.
Yeah, that was a disappointing. I was hoping, again, knew better than to
Same.
hope for that, but it's like it was hoping for it nonetheless. So yeah, no, I agree. I was disappointed. I felt like across the board in that game, we did not play well. Um, we I think I said it in our chat, or our text chain, but there was a lot of loose passes, people that, again, John Stones or whoever else, Laporte, a lot of passes from the back are going out of bounds. They're being intercepted by the DM on the other for Crystal Palace. It's like, what are we doing? That was what I kept asking myself. What's really going on? Because this is not us. But and maybe the pressure of the run in is they're starting to feel it a little bit. I don't know. I think we have the experience of getting through that. So I would hope we can handle that better than what I saw in that last game. Ultimately, that game against Crystal Palace was very, very disappointing. Definitely very disappointing. But again, we played the way that we want to play. We want to have the ball. We want to we want to create. We did those things. We just didn't have. And again, when we say, do we need a striker? Yes, the false nine has been working for us to an extent, and we won the title last year. We got to the Champions League final with the false nine, but it's games like that where we just need somebody to just put the ball. Bernardo Silva has been exceptional this season, but he had a couple shots that I'm like, that's a goal. That's supposed to be a goal. Danielle said he's not that great of a player, but I expect Danielle to score some of those that and I've never seen him play. But reality is, I expect that to be a goal there. And maybe I have too high expectations. I don't know, but I was disappointed across the board. And I know you said that you didn't want necessarily Grealish. I didn't think Grealish was bad. I just think that all around we just didn't play well.
I scored in pickup a couple days ago, actually. So I actually did
See, we
score
should
this
have had
game.
you on the field. We could have
Right.
got that goal we needed.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I thought Grealish was fine. I like that he was defensive, like he was getting himself involved defensively. But I think that like the midfield was just weirdly out of balance, which is odd because I think the Bernardo KDB Rodri midfield is our best combo. It's like the one that I would like to see every time, at least this season. And yeah, for sure. Like I think that like both things, everything that all of you are saying, is all true. Like simultaneously, like it was probably the worst game that the midfield had played this season. And also we should have scored like 2 or 3 goals just from Bernardo alone. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Games are always like really frustrating. Games like these are frustrating. But I think on balance, like I'm not too concerned about the run in because like first of all, I like to not concern myself too much about like a hypothetical, right, that hasn't already played out in previous seasons. So what I mean by that is I haven't seen this City team like bottle, as they call it, a points lead in the league. Like I've only seen them like come back from it, right? So until that happens, like I'm not gonna expect it, right? I'm not gonna like try to concern myself about it. I will concern myself about bottling a Champions League tie because that's happened over and over and over again. So I still think that I am more concerned about the Champions League right now than I am about the league. Although the league, it's feeling raw right now because we've dropped points and Liverpool just look unbeatable. So it is what it is.
So I'm gonna go after you guys and just start off with a quote. I'm a teacher, so I like quotes. In the Premier League, we are winning. Right now, the destiny is in our hands. And of course, that was Pep. And what that did for me, he also explained why he didn't sub, right? And I think part of it was like he was like you said, they had it. They were doing the right things. The chances were created. Every time we don't finish, oh my God, we gotta have a striker. We score 5-0. Wow, it's so beautiful. The false nine is great. Like I'm just on the side of the false nine. Until Haaland, until that paperwork is signed, until he's beside, Pep in a press conference, I can't worry about that. And so the guys we have, like they made the chances, they created the chances, they didn't go in. on another day, another night, and there was also issues with the pitch. Like Pep called that out, right? Like it was not a pristine carpet. So like we fought some adversity. Honestly, it's kind of like as I'm wearing, as I love basketball and it's March Madness, like sometimes you lose a game early to like refocus you. And luckily, it wasn't even a loss. Like dropping the 2 points sucks, but we still have the lead. We control our destiny. Um, and I do hope that as we keep going in the league, like he lets Sterling get more run. Like I think that's a big thing that can change because every time Sterling's out there, he has an advantage on just about every single fullback. And so it's like let him go, isolate him, and get him to the byline. Like we haven't scored a city goal in a while, and so like that's where I'm at now. Like let my man play. So yeah.
Yeah, and I want City. I mean, we all want City to win as many matches as they could, but I wanted City to win this match against Crystal Palace. One, so Crystal Palace didn't have like something to hold over us because now they do. They took 4 points away from us this year, and we we have Liverpool breathing on our necks, and that their breath stinks. It smells like shit, and it's just like I'm over it. And we needed those 2 points, and uh, I understand why Pep didn't make the subs because they did look like they could score. Like everyone has said, Bernardo looked like he was going to score 2 or 3 different times. What I hope in Pep not making these subs and trying to make the players figure it out for themselves, it's unlocking a whole other level of management and mentality for the players that will be needed, hopefully in the Champions League final, or the possibly our last match against Aston Villa, I believe that is. Like that that match could potentially end up being the match that decides whether we win the PL title or not. And it's just I I hate that he's not making the subs because we do need it, but we do have a thinner squad than most, even though all of our players who are on that squad are extremely talented. We still have a limited squad. And I understand it, and this is just me hoping because none of us can understand what goes on in Pep's brain, and I feel there are moments where he doesn't know what's going on in his brain. I'm just hoping that we just move to the FA Cup that's coming up, and I can transition to that, and we just win this. And I know it's a completely different competition, but we need a victory right now, or else the reeling's gonna start happening big time.
Are you all ready for this? Because I I have a feeling that Pep's going to put out one of those lineups here soon. That's just going to be like you. I think we all remember the Champions League final, and we were all like, "Huh."
Staring at it, looking for Rodri.
Yeah, like what is
Donde
happening?
está el DM?
Pep's gonna do that. Like he hasn't done it in a while. With uh, fixture congestion coming with the FA Cup, with the Premier League, Champions League. You just get the sense that he's gonna throw his junk ball at some point and be like, "Yeah, this is how we're gonna win Champions League." And because Pep's good for like 3 of those a year, and it's been a minute since we've had it, so I don't know when it's gonna happen, but I feel it coming.
See,
I feel a Fernandinho Gundogan midfield coming up.
ooh,
Like that's just what
Oh,
it's
like
just been a while.
a
Like I think it's gonna
Fernandinho
happen.
Gundo. We're gonna put James. We're gonna give James McAtee the start type of
Yeah, that type of thing. Like it could be great, but like you said, like it's always a curveball. It has to happen. You just have like whatever the excuse is, rest, whatever. But it's like if you rested those guys and you didn't sub, everybody who was on that bench should be fresh. It's like they should be ready.
see, I
So
had told myself that no, Pep's learned his lesson from the Champions League final. He's not going to do that, and we haven't seen it very much, if at all, this season. So here I am thinking, oh, he's got that out of his system. We're good this year, and you guys are bringing me back to earth, man.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So we will transition to the FA Cup. How are you guys feeling? It's Southampton. They are a struggling side. We should win this. It should be an easy win, but anything is possible, especially in the FA Cup.
I'm gonna need you to stop saying that. You said that before that game against Crystal Palace. You said like 5 or 6. I'm gonna just need you to just be like, "Oh, it's gonna be tough." Just say that one good time. So Pep and them, man, I was sitting there watching that game. I was like, CrunkChocolate done jinxed us. That's exactly what I was thinking. I didn't want to say that earlier because I like you.
You're right. No,
Rachel Dolezal hands. I too thought the same.
I'm
Nah,
guilty.
but real talk. But for the Southampton game, I think they're a team that's kind of Jekyll and Hyde. Ralph Hasenhüttl has them playing pretty well in certain games, and then there's other games where they look just atrocious, and they'll give up 5, 6, 7. So I'm hopeful, and I was joking earlier, but I really do think it'll be a 3+ spot that we'll put on them at least.
I think this will be a big game for Roz because I think he'll be rested since we didn't, bring anybody off the bench. I see him starting. I think you want to kind of give their fullbacks a challenge, particularly with the way that they play. Um, I think Roz is going to have a big game on Sunday. I'm not predicting him to score. I'm not predicting him to have any assists, but I think that he will be big in what the outcome of the match is.
So I just want to. I was looking at Southampton's recent form, and their last 3 matches, they've lost 4-0 to Aston Villa. They lost 2-1 to Newcastle, and 2-1 to Southampton. I mean to Watford. So if they're giving up goals to Watford and making Aston Villa look like us, like if we don't get 2 goals, I'll panic. I haven't been nervous before, but if we cannot score twice against this defense, that's a problem. That's when it's like, okay, now the pressure's on us. Like something's off. Like so, as long as we get 2 goals, a nice 2-0 clean sheet.
Yeah, I do agree. Sorry, I agree that I think Sterling is going to be very motivated. I think not getting in that last game, regardless of what Pep's motivations were, regardless of what his reasons were, I think anytime he doesn't get in on that field, that increases the motivation for him. So.
Agree. Charlie, I think to your point about Southampton's form, oddly, and were those last 3 games, were they all Prem games? Okay.
Yeah,
I think
all
that
prime.
that's what makes this match so scary because if it was just a Premier League match, yes, you would expect to win it. But you know that Southampton's been in bad form and this is for hardware. So, this is their only chance to probably get hardware this season, so they're going to be up for the match.
For sure. Yeah. Can you really flip a switch? Agreed. Yeah, they're definitely up for it, but it's like that much. Because obviously they won their last FA match and they won 3-1 against West Ham, and that was a really great game for them. But then right after that, like you said, 3 poor games, 3 losses. So it's like you drop 9 points. How much can you come back? And that's what I'm interested to see what Hasenhüttl does.
I will apologize for me saying City were going to win by 6. I did double jinx us because who was it? Noisy Neighbors Pod. They did a Spaces on Twitter, and I hopped in representing the pod, and I was like, "Yeah, we're a great pod. Everyone listen." And City, they're gonna win by 6, and even like everyone just got real silent for like, just like, should I not have said that? I understand us as City people. We are worried of the proverbial shoe dropping, but we've won so much. Like we gotta move on. We need to be those like heady, overconfident people that for some reason Manchester United and Arsenal are. We need to take their swagger away because it's just like it's unfounded for them, and it should be founded for us. So sometimes we'll win some, we'll lose some. I will say we'll win by 6, and we draw. And then this FA Cup game, I'm going to say it's going to be a tight, close game. I think we're still going to win, but I think we're going to win by 1. And then we'll see
And
what
we're going to hang a
happens.
4 spot. We're going to hang a 4 spot.
Oh, man. But I am feeling good about that. And another thing that I'm also feeling great about is this Haaland rumors. And I know you guys are tired of me constantly bringing up Haaland, especially in the group chat. But what I
I
will
felt the
say
Holland
is,
transition coming. Could y'all
let's
feel
make
it?
an agreement. We'll talk
Like
about Haaland right
another
now.
thing he's
He's
good
ready.
about. Like he's
He's
ready.
excited.
Yeah, no, I'm geeked. Like what we will do is we will act like Haaland will be in City next year. He'll be wearing City blue. We'll talk about it now, and then when he does come, I'm not even giving it a chance for it to fall through. I'm saying when he does come, we won't have to talk about it again. We'll just address it now. So let's cosplay. Haaland comes to City. The deal is done. How are you feeling? What do you think the team looks like? What does that mean for Liam and Julian? Does Pep change our whole system? With Haaland there, that does mean like one less position available for our star-studded midfield. Does someone leave? Take whatever angle you want. Let's start with Danielle.
So I'm just gonna put this out there. I think that if we do end up signing Holland, and if Alvarez comes in the summer, that the first half of the season, Alvarez is gonna start more of the games, and I think he's gonna score more goals. Just because based on what I've seen, well, so for numerous reasons. One, I think Holland is he's had a growth spurt in recent years, and this is actually something that's affected Liam Delap. But when players have like extreme growth spurts, especially when you're like above 6 feet, you become more susceptible to injuries. So I feel like part of it is going to be like injury management, right? Like he's still like, how old is he? Like 21, 22? He's still growing. Yeah, yeah. So I think they're going to be they'll be a little bit careful with him, right? Save him for the back end of the season. But also, I feel like Alvarez is like he's a really exciting player for multiple reasons, but one of them being he's like Aguero regen, just based on like the angles of the shots that he takes, his tenacity. Yeah, I think that Alvarez seems like a more he's obviously not as polished of a goal scorer, and he's not as hyped up. And I think that Haaland is still on balance like an overall better player, but I think that he's seemingly just based on highlight compilations, right? Which what does that really say? But based on those videos, he seems like he's more Pep ready at the moment. So that's just my bold prediction.
That's Super
Is
Bowl.
there? What'd you say?
I said that's a Super Bowl prediction. Like I hats off to you, Danielle, because I couldn't. I don't think I would have come to that conclusion. But yeah,
No, yeah. I think that it's definitely well, I won't say it's bold because again, everybody assumes that if we get Holland, he's going to play every game. He's going to score 1.5 million goals for us, and we're going to win every trophy in sight. I hope that's the case. May not be. To go back to Alvarez, though, I felt like I remember when they announced or they talked about his contract that he was planning to stay through the end of this season, but that
To the winter, right?
he
Yeah.
could go back and stay through the
The
summer and come back in
Copa
the winter.
Libertadores.
Yeah, and
yeah,
come back in like the January window next year. So I guess I don't know if he'll be with us outside of preseason.
Basically,
Maybe.
it's how good River Plate is. He is supposed to help them try to win some trophies, and if they get knocked out of the Copa, I believe that's the tournament that they're in. If they get knocked out of that, in theory, that's when he should come back to City. But if River Plate keep winning, then he's going to stay because he is their best goal scorer. And what I will say about Julian, he has some growing pains that he still needs to do, but that eye for goal is like that's the one thing that he has. He has that like some of the if you watch again highlight reels, there's only so much you can watch, but even when you watch matches, like he finds space, he's always looking to try to score, and we kind of need those people. Like Pep has burned in our players, pass, pass. If you don't know what to do, pass. If you don't know what to do, pass. Sometimes we need that guy who's just like, fuck it, I'm gonna shoot because no telling what happens off of the deflection. And so I'm excited about Julian. I'm excited about what potentially we could get with Haaland. I'm scared of what that means for Liam because I feel like we have all been talking about Liam coming up to the men's side for the last like 3 years, and just something keeps happening. And I know it's like injury and stuff like that, but is it just that? I don't know. We don't know, and it will be interesting to see. I'm not saying I'm going to get a Holland shirt next year, but if I get two shirts, he might be the second name I get on it. Even though I know like names on the back of the shirt is no gauche. I'm thrilled. I wouldn't say we're going to win all the titles, but I will say is I'd like to believe watching the matches should be less stressful because like I think we would get kind of the mindset that Tottenham fans get when they think about like Kane, how like at any moment we can be struggling all match, but if you get the ball at Kane's feet, he's gonna score. And I would like to believe the same thing with Haaland. Like, hey, he might get only 4 touches a match, but 2 of those 4 touches were goals, and that's kind of what we need and what I'm seeing out of him. But also, it wouldn't surprise me if Pep just changes everything up, and all of a sudden we have 2 strikers next year. So I'm just kind of looking forward to the evolution of Pep. Also, Holland coming means Pep extension.
Now, I definitely think that uh, the extension is coming for Pep. I definitely think that when I look at all the other players that have extended, um, I don't think that they would have done that as early if they didn't think that Pep was coming or going to stay. I don't know that Holland comes if he doesn't think Pep is going to be here. I do wonder what that's going to mean for Foden. Did we play him in midfield? Do we still play him as a winger? I think he can be that, that 10 or even an 8 for us. I think it's there's going to be a lot of movement. What does that mean for Gabby Jesus? Does he leave the club? I think he
That
probably does.
I think you're right. I think that's my biggest takeaway about like acquiring Holland, acquiring Alvarez, is what what is it about Pep's system and the player profile where this player can go play for club and experience success and then come back and or for country, excuse me, and experience success and then come back for club and then be on the bench, be shipped out to a different position. Not and I mean, Gabby did a great job playing winger early in the season for us. I was very surprised by it, but I would imagine that he's a number 9. He wants to score, and I think that he will probably be gone. And it's sad because you wonder what could have been. And I think that I would think that if Holland and Alvarez are at the club at the same time, that Pep would have learned from his experience having Jesus and Aguero at the same time, and you play them together. I I'm a big advocate of the diamond midfield anyway. So I could see putting Alvarez and Holland up top, and then letting Phil be the tip of the spear, and you put Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo on either side, and then go from there. Uh, I think that having two strikers should facilitate some sort of tactical change. That doesn't necessarily mean like we all know that Pep says that he lines up in a 4-3-3, but like the way that we played is not how most 4-3-3 teams play. I think that Pep could accept the challenge of playing a diamond midfield, but it still not look like what most other diamond midfields look like.
Do you think we'll go to a 3-5-2, 3 at the back instead of playing 4? You said you should think
I
a
don't see that. I
4-4-2
can't see
with
that.
diamond midfield.
Yeah, I don't.
I think we tried the 3-5-2 early in Pep's tenure.
Yeah, we did, and then I think you're right, and we did, and I think it was like when it was his first season. I think it was one of those matches where Company was hurt, and so we had all of the other center backs playing at the back, and that didn't work out too good. Although that being stated, I mean, with the center backs that you have now, I think that that's an option. With you do have Laporte, you do have Diaz. Once Diaz gets healthy, and you do have Stones, so I think that that might be an option for 2022, 2023. I don't necessarily see it, but I don't have a problem with Pep throwing a junk ball lineup out there every once in a while. And so I think that it'll definitely give more flexibility to allow that to happen.
So I've listened to all of the ideas, and I'm like, these sound good. And this is where I land. Jesus has to go because that 9 shirt has to be Haaland. Like that's my main reason. Like he is a 9. The 9 goes to him. You don't switch your number from a 9 and stay at the club. Like Aguero, I mean, Jesus waited for it as a 33. He got the shirt. Clearly hasn't panned out the way he wanted. He hasn't scored enough goals. It sucks. But when you bring in a big dog, somebody's got to go. And Delap and Jesus, bye bye. The two 22-year-olds, to have two top quality 22-year-old strikers is incredible. And so what I think it does, I think is it just makes Pep rotation even better, where you just have a true number 9 every single match. Like there is no more false 9. I do think that will slide back uh, Foden into the David Silva role as that 8 beside KDB. So now Foden's on the left with that left foot, KDB's on his right, whipping those balls in, and just imagine those headers, at the feet, running in the back post. Um, and I think what happens is that if Jesus leaves, now you have more time for like Grealish, Sterling, and Mahrez to all play. And so I think it keeps people happy. Like you have to have consistent playing time, and right now there's just such a glut um, up front that like those people leaving would I think help us, and maybe this allows a Cole Palmer to play more or McAtee. Like one of them should hopefully step up to be more on the first
Do
team
you
next year.
think
But we'll
Alvarez
see.
plays through the middle, or does he play kind of that winger? Because I think he plays, from what I've been told or read, I think he kind of plays as a winger a little bit too in Brazil, right? So he could play kind of off the right. Um, with they can play together. Ultimately, is my point, without necessarily going to a 2 striker front. But at the end of the day, I just want give me some strikers, give me some people who are going to put the ball in the back of the net, get them on the field, and I don't care where you. At the end of the day, for Pep, it doesn't matter where you line up. We're going to overlap, and we're going to be so fluid that you're going to end up all over the field anyway. Just go get goals.
I want 100 goals. That's what I want. That's
I
that's
look
the
for that
number
every
I need.
season. Every
100
season.
goals.
Is anyone else
Yeah.
concerned with switching to like Phil has done such a great job of linking the forward line with the midfield as the false 9. I'm not saying that I've seen Haaland do it some for Dortmund. I have not seen Alvarez play. I will readily admit that. Um, do you think that like, but is that something that we're going to miss, like by putting in an actual striker and then um, you're does that does the forward line disconnect from the midfield?
I think that I read something about, I think Sam Lee put it out there when like the first wave of Haaland rumors came up, and there was a question of like, is Pep concerned about losing that control, kind of what you're talking about, Tom. But Sam reported that Pep thinks that like, yeah, they're probably going to lose more control with Haaland there, but he'd rather have Haaland. He'd rather have like, that guy that can put it in the back of the net, right? Um, Also, like, yeah, I think that overall it's not too much of a concern in the long term with Haaland because he has shown the ability to like the football intelligence and like the ability to with it, not just like running with the ball at his feet, but also like distributing it and stuff. But I think that like he'll probably be like even more than Aguero. He'll be like that focal point. Like just get it to him, just because he's like such a prolific goal scorer. I would love to see like 90% of the shots taken by him over like pretty much any other player if we do end up signing him. So yeah.
And
I
if
think
City end up playing that, we get stuck and we're just crossing balls in from every direction for no reason, at least we'll have someone above 6 feet to, jump for it. That's the thing I'm excited about.
Shuffle.
Oh, you mean that
yeah,
we're
no
not going to
doubt.
have that experience of 2018, 2019, where we couldn't, in 2020, where we couldn't score off of a set piece to save our lives?
We gotten so much
We
better at it.
have.
Those CBs of, oh my gosh, it's incredible. I'm like, oh my god, you guys can figure it out. Good job,
Like
John. Good job.
you could definitely tell that was a point of emphasis for Pep this season, was to not like, why are we get way too many set pieces to not be dangerous on set pieces? Why are we so bad at them?
I haven't paid a ton of attention to Holland from like watching a bunch of Dortmund games. Um, the highlights that I've seen, I don't recall a ton of headers necessarily, but I do like the fact that he's a big, strong dude. Right? There is going to be no not Vincent, but there's not going to be center back for Liverpool bullying us. That's just not going to happen.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Van Dyke
Van
can't
Dyke's.
do it.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
not going to
can't
be. They're
bully.
not going to be
Yeah.
bullying Holland. He's too big a dude. If anything, he's going to bully them, and that's what we don't have. We don't have that physicality in our team, especially not up front. And so we are much more of a finesse team, which that's not a bad thing. I don't see that as a negative. Uh, but he comes on the field, and there's a distinct difference there, and that's something that they got to play. The way they defend us has to change at that point.
And yeah, that reminds me of another reason why I want Holland so badly is that like his physicality, but then just the intimidation factor of having someone like 6'4" be there. That even though he's not like actually statistically, he's improved a lot this season in the air, but prior to this season, he's actually wasn't that good. Like you said, Tariq, not many headers scored. But just having somebody that tall, like occupying the space, like drawing attention and stuff, is going to open things up for other people. There's also the dynamic of him, like he's actually super fast. Like he's like nobody's as fast as Kyle Walker, but he'll be like the second fastest guy on the team when we sign him. And there's just that element of like even though we don't play counterattacking football, just the idea that we have somebody finally besides Raheem who can run at the defense and just like score a goal like that that's going to change the way that teams play. So yeah, it's just like the fear of him.
I also think it's
No, I was just gonna say the difference between Sterling can make those runs because again, to your point, we don't play long ball like just hoof the ball up the field and just kick and run, but we do play balls over the top because we know that that's just a long pass. When Sterling gets on the ball, he's not as decisive up front as a scorer. When that ball falls on Haaland's foot, he's a killer. So I'm looking forward. Again, this is all assuming he shows up, assuming he signs on the dotted line. But I'm looking forward to even Ederson. He plays those. He kicks those balls over the top. He got a couple of assists to Aguero a couple times. I see that being a big threat as well. If you have a player that's willing to run behind the defense, he's going to find you.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's I just want to say appreciate all of you for humoring me about this Haaland talk. If it, like I said, if it when he does come, we'll just keep it moving. We won't even talk about it because there is plenty of things to talk about. And if he ends up not coming, then I just will never talk about a transfer rumor ever again, ever again.
I was gonna say you only jinx us on the field, not off. So it won't be your
There we
fault. It won't be
go.
your fault.
Let's knock on all the wood around me.
Right?
I got it. So let's transition into the quarterfinals of the Champions League. So Chelsea versus Real Madrid. City, they drew Atletico Madrid. Villarreal versus Bayern, and Benfica versus Liverpool. Obviously, this is a City pod, so we'll focus on our Atletico matchup. Simple question again. How are you feeling? What do you think of the draw? Are we going to move on?
Real quick, I'm 9 out of 10 like excited because Atleti's form has been poor, and beating United means nothing. Everybody can beat United, whatever. So like it's cool. And I do think that like we have the attack to break them down, and it's not as good as like classic defensive Atleti was. Godin's not walking through that door. So it's like I think we're gonna over the two legs. I'm going 3-1 aggregate.
I don't think that you could have two managers that want to play football in two more different ways than this matchup. Um, I think that Atleti's going to let us have a lot of the ball.
All
So,
of it.
well, yes. I think the biggest thing is making sure that Walker is fit for both of those matches because you don't want Antoine Griezmann to get behind you.
But I think Kyle is he's suspended for the first one, isn't he? Is he
He's
still
suspended for
out?
two more.
That's right.
He's
I
got
think
two
he'll-
more. So the entire.
So the entire leg
Whoa,
tie.
shit!
I thought it was just
I
one
thought
more.
it was. Didn't he miss both for Did he
He
miss
missed
both
most of
of
the sporting, both of
the
the
round
sporting
of
matches.
16?
Oh, ball.
Yeah,
Okay.
so he should only have
Yeah.
one more.
Okay.
Let me double check that, but I think so. Yeah.
That makes the first match interesting. I look. We should beat Atleti. That we should advance. I and I think that even if like Charlie said, it's March Madness, so everybody's looking at the bracket. So we're looking at the bracket now, and if you look at Chelsea and Real Madrid, I think that they will play two really really good games, and I think that will. I think that the winner of the tie will probably be very very emotional and tired and drained, and I think that will be easier for us to advance. So I also found it really interesting that Juve was the only Serie A team, especially as tight as the Serie A title run is right now. But you could tell that they are the team that just said, F it, we're going to drop out of this and we're just going to put all of our eggs in the Champions League basket. But I see us in the final, and based off of the bracket, it's probably going to be Liverpool. I don't, between Bayern and Villarreal and Benfica and Liverpool, you think that they're going to be the two that advance. I mean, Lewandowski's great. Manuel Neuer's great. Christian Coman, great. There's something to be said about Jurgen Klopp and the way that his side plays football. I don't. I just think it's going to be us in Liverpool. It would be nice for the redemption story for us to play Chelsea in the semis. Just to get that out of our systems. Like, no, we did beat you, and we're moving on, and we're going to the final. But that's where the way I'm looking at it.
Just want to confirm Walker's only out for the
Cool.
first match, and he'll be back for the second leg.
Yeah, I think City should win easily. That's it. I mean, since Walker is going to be out the first match, I'd assume this is going to be the one match that Atletico might come at us. But they, like you guys were saying, they're going to hold on. They're going to let us hold on to the ball and try to take their time. They're not the most explosive, and so that's what I am very thankful for. That's usually what gets us in trouble is a team with pace. They counterattack us with speed. Atletico, they are a counter team, but they don't necessarily have the pace that I think will trouble us. So I think over 2 matches, City should handily. I'm not going to say scores, aggregates, because in my brain, I'm like, oh, it's over. It's not even going to be close. But I'm not, like I said, I'm going to wait until this next FA Cup match and see if my jinxing ended.
No, I think it'll be. I think it'll be tight because it's still Atleti. Now, I do think they're not the Atleti of old, or the last couple years, but I do think it'll be a tough match or a tough 2-legged affair. But I think we come out. I think we advance. Um, 2-1, 3-1 on aggregate. I think that's what we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should beat them too. They're not the same team at all. They let in a lot of goals this season, like a lot. Just looking at their the La Liga table, they let in 36 goals in 28 matches. That's just like totally uncharacteristic of Simeone's teams. But also, I'm looking at their just the matches, and since the start of this season, they've played in 10 matches where they've gotten at least one red card, and that's really surprising to me. Yeah, I'm like, if you just look at their the match history, it's like you see red every other match. It's wild. So I feel like if I was gonna bet on this game, I would bet on the tie. I would bet on at least one red card from them. Um, but yeah, I feel like if we end up not winning it, it won't be. It'll be because we didn't take our chances. Like that's pretty much it. Like we'll have 19 shots in a game and score none of them. Yeah,
It'll be
exactly.
Palace
Exactly.
game all over
Well,
again.
I think Old Black, he has the ability to stand on his head and keep stuff out that you would expect to score on. So it would not surprise me if we, to your point, Danielle, if we have one of those 20 shot games and we walk out and it's a 0-0 or they got a goal and we didn't, just because I could see that dude, like I said, just standing on his head and keeping stuff out. So a lot of keepers seem to have games of their lives against us. I don't know why that is.
Look, if that happens, we need a Haaland announcement the next day, or I'm
Or
writing.
the day before.
Yeah.
I do have one Atleti thing. Um, Everyone, please stop inviting Antoine Griezmann to the diaspora cookout. He's not invited. Okay.
Send that card.
That's all that I
I got
have.
my own reasons why you revoking his access. Why you revoking his card?
I
So
just
he's not invited to the barbecue.
like who is deciding that he's just going to the barbecue and so this French man just shows up to Africa and we're just this white French man and we're not going to just say, oh, he's a colonizer. What? I,
That's funny.
that no, just no. That's where I'm at with that. So
I am here with Thom, and he will be discussing the Manchester City women's football side. He will be explaining the way that the women play, standouts on the team, highlights from the season so far. Also, Thom, you weren't in the first episode. I apologize for that. And you are due an introduction. So let's start with the introduction before I have you go right into talking about City Women football.
Absolutely, I can do that. So, I think the story of this year has really been injuries. Steph Houghton, she's the captain of the squad. She has been out since September. She is, in a lot of ways, I really like her because in a lot of ways she reminds me of Vincent Company because she's the captain of the squad. You when she's fit, you know she's going in the 11. She plays for the three Lionesses, so she's got plenty of international experience. So it her being out has really hurt us. As a matter of fact, even the games that um, we've lost, we've held a lead in most of those games, but our defense just falls apart. Um, Ellie Roebuck was out for almost 3 months. It was bad. We had to start a 17-year-old keeper, although Kiera Keating did a great job. Shout out to her. So right now, City sits in fourth place in the Women's Super League, 3 points behind United after a exciting weekday action. We were able to pull out a 2-0 victory over Reading. And one thing that you can always count on, whether it be the men or the women, United will always drop points. Uh, they were playing West Ham, and they were up 1-0, and West Ham equalized at the death, um, which is great because even though City is 2-1 against United this season, United is still above us in the table. With the Super League, it's the top three spots get into the Champions League. So right now we are 3 points behind United. Right now, we've won our last 5 games, which includes 2 victories over United, as well as a Conti Cup final, which for those uninitiated, that's basically the WSL version of the League Cup. And then 2 big league wins versus Tottenham and then Reading in succession. I think the big you wanted to know about style of play. The women definitely do try and play more like the men. You are going to see Manchester City women with those high possession numbers. But I think a lot of the things that we discuss about the men, also the women are also susceptible to, which is being caught on the counter. And while Lucy Bronze and Demi Stokes are very, very good fullbacks, they're good offensive fullbacks. As a matter of fact, the lone goal that Man City scored against Tottenham was because of a great run that Lucy Bronze made to get the ball out wide to Haley Rasso. Rasso scores inside, or Rasso centers the ball to Caroline Weir, and she scores. One of the things that you have definitely, with the form that we are in over the last 5 games, we're not a great first half team. We are a really good second half team. I think what that is a function of is 2 different things. City has a lot of attacking talent, just like the women's side, just like the men's side has a lot of attacking talent. You go, Bunny Shaw leads the line, and even then on the right side of her, you have Haley Rasso. The other side, Angela Blackstad, who we just brought in the January transfer window, has played a lot there. Lauren Hemp's been great on the other side, and Jess Park has been a great super sub for us as well. Right now, it seems like we are trying to find the right pieces while also we're missing Vicky Lozada. She is we brought her in this past season. She's really stabilized the midfield. Not to say that, Georgia Stanway and Caroline Weir and Kiera Walsh, which, by the way, shout out to Kiera Walsh. Her last match made 200 in the city shirt for her, and she's 25. So that's awesome. Yeah, exactly. That, so there's investment on the club on this side too. I think missing Lozada has really hurt because I think she has connected well enough with all of the different combinations of frontline players that are available that we're missing that incisive pass that she has been able to create. At least that's been very obvious in the first half of games. I will readily admit I am not the biggest fan of Gareth Taylor as the manager. That being that being stated, he's made some really good halftime changes recently. Um, in the most recent match against Reading, um, it wasn't that we weren't lively. As a matter of fact, each one of the starting forwards honestly should have scored twice. Like Rasso had two chances, Bunny Shaw had two chances, Blacksat had two chances. Grace Maloney stood on her head. Grace Maloney had 10 saves in the game on Wednesday. So I think it's just a lot of it is just finishing, but a lot of it is just finding the right pass to unlock the defense so far. But the biggest thing for City this is I think the low light of the season was probably losing to Real Madrid in the second round of the Champions League. This would have been a great season to compete in Champions League. It's really, really wide open. Although some would say that Barca Femení is probably going to run away with it, just like they did last year, and they are a powerhouse. So I would look out for them going forward. But I think the biggest thing for City is, as I said before, the standard is the standard, and for the club, and the standard is hardware. And so getting the Conti Cup is great. Um, we are probably we're probably not going to catch Arsenal, who is leading the Super League right now. However, we still have a chance at the excuse me. We still definitely have a chance at the FA Cup, which we play Everton, as you stated, on on Sunday, and we are actually going to get Chloe Kelly back for that match, which that I'm sure that's a big match for her. Her having been an Evertonian, grew up an Evertonian fan, coming to City. I know that's a big match for her. But also, our next few league games are against the bottom of the table, whereas United's next few league games are against the top. They still have to play Arsenal again, so we're in a really, really good position to get that third Champions League spot, and then be competitive from there. I think the just a few stats for you. Bunny Shaw does lead the team with 13 goals. Lauren Hemp Jess Park leads the team with 10 assists. Um, Caroline Ware has 12 goals. Georgia Stanway has 9 goals and 5 assists. And Lauren Hemp has not only 11 goals, but 7 assists as well. So those are the big scoring threats for City. I would be remiss if I did not say that Gareth Taylor, I understand his job is hard, but one name that I have not mentioned of the attackers is Olympic gold medalist Janine Becky. Janine played for the first time on Saturday since January, and she's been fit. As a matter of fact, she in the international break, she played for Canada, scored a few goals. Bev Priestman even said that she was surprised to see that Janine Becky was not getting as much playing time as she would have thought. And I'm sure as an international manager, yes, there's there hashtag free Janine. I do think that it now I would be interested to see one of the things Janine Becky played a lot of left back last season. And I wonder if this is more of a function of the Gareth Taylor wanting a little bit more defense and playing Demi Stokes a true fullback at left back versus there just being so much attacking talent on the wings. But again, when you have a gold medalist on your team, you would think that they're probably going to be one of the better players on your team. Um, so hopefully we will see more of Janine here going forward. So um, that's really what I got. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Um, as again, you can always reach out to me, TomBomb816. I'm happy to chop it up about women, Manchester City Women's Football Club, because they're part of the club too. So, and I love Manchester City, so that's what it is.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Shades of Blue Pod, and subscribe to our YouTube channel by searching Shades of Blue Podcast. Up the Blues.
Absolutely. I'm ready. I'm definitely up for this game. Everton's been in bad form. Like I said, we've won our last 5 straight, including a hard piece of hardware and 2 derby wins. So we're hot right now. We're so hot right now, and we're gonna just keep this streak going. And you said that you were gonna say the most outlandish things about the club. I will clearly say the most outlandish things about the women's club. Like, clearly we're gonna, defeat Arsenal and Chelsea and go on to get the FA Cup. Like, we have already defeated Pernell Harder and Sam Kerr once. They do not scare us anymore. Come on, City.